The 49ers just reversed a massive narrative. I'm going to tell you all about it in this video. Plus, later in the video, I've got some great updates that you're going to want to hear, so make sure you stick around for that. Hit subscribe. If you are a 49ers fan and you want to help out this channel, please hit that button. It does help me out very much, and I appreciate you guys to the moon and back. You guys are awesome. Question for you. The Houston Texans are coming up right now, okay? And as I'm thinking about the keys to the game, it's Thursday. Week 8 football is starting tonight. I'm curious what you think the keys to the game are for the 49ers. Maybe even just pick your number one. What's your number one key to the game? You can pick defensive line, as I've highlighted here. The defensive line needs to get after this rough offensive line for the Houston Texans. That's a big kicker for sure. On the offensive side of the ball, the 49ers have to continue to establish the run against a very, very good defense. If they cannot do that, they're not going to be able to win this game throwing the ball 49 times. Potentially. I should say potentially. It's going to be harder to win this game throwing the ball 45 to 50 times, right? So you need to go into this game saying we have to do what we did last week. We have to establish the run early. We have to use that to open up the rest of the field. The other thing, the other big key to the game for me is you need to get the ball away quick. When you are going to throw the ball, throw it fast. Short, I'm talking short stuff like get it to Kittle. Get it to Christian McCaffrey. We don't need to have a bunch of deep balls. We're probably not going to have Ricky Pearsall, but we'll talk about him in a second as well. So that's where I'm at. Let me know in the comments where you're at on this one. Appreciate you guys. Let's jump into some of the news. Bill Barnwell. You know, he covers the 49ers as every other team for ESPN, and he's got some good takes and some bad takes like anybody else. But he brought up something that I thought was really interesting, and this is another one of those narratives around what the 49ers did this offseason. He listed the 49ers as one of the best teams in the NFL with how they, after revisiting how their off seasons were handled. And this is the thing that I love. I have to talk about this today, you guys. I have to, because when we do these videos in the offseason and people are saying, this is who's had a good offseason, this is who's had a bad offseason, and you've got teams on there that right now, like the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans, you got teams on there who are playing very bad football right now, and you're giving them all the credit in the world. The Arizona Cardinals are another one, and they're not playing horrible football compared to some of the other teams mentioned, the New York Jets, whatever. When you got a lot of teams out there that are getting A+ off seasons, and then nothing happens from it. I would much rather be on this list by Bill Barnwell. That is, now that it's all said and done, who did have the best off season? And he quoted the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I'm going to tell you, he does have a disappointment on Brock Purdy. We're going to talk about that. I disagree with it, but I understand where he's coming from, and I'll make sense of it in a second. But his highlights are hiring Robert Saleh, drafting Mykel Williams, drafting Alfred Collins, drafting Marquise Siegel, trading for Bryce Huff, and signing Mac Jones, okay? All good offseason acquisitions. I think you could add some other highlights in there, for example. Alfred Collins. I think the reason you don't is because Alfred Collins is still young. He's still learning. He's still figuring it out. And you haven't got a ton of impact from him. But that Rams game for me is like, hey, now, come on, throw him in there. But there's lots of other things you could do there. You know, the Luke Farrell is another move that I expected him to put the Luke Farrell move in disappointments, but he doesn't put him anywhere. So whatever. On the disappointment side, he throws out there Brock Purdy getting that big extension and Demarcus Robinson. Now, the Demarcus Robinson one, up to this point, I understand why you would say it's a disappointment. If you're trying to say, hey, even if it looked good on paper then, it's not looking good on paper now, and that I do respect. However, the Brock Purdy one, I think where he's coming from on this, and he doesn't really elaborate on this exact point, but I think where he's coming from on this is Brock Purdy has hardly played this season. So you signed him to a big contract and he's hardly played, and you've managed a way to be successful without him for much of the season. In that regard, I understand where he's coming from. I just disagree wholeheartedly. I think over the lifetime of this deal, especially considering even starting the deal, it was not at the level at which I think Brock Purdy could have asked, his agent could have asked, the way they could have argued with how much postseason success Brock Purdy's had. I think they could have asked for a lot more money. I think they probably were. Well, his agent probably was asking for a lot more money. All that being said, here's what he says. Well, the conversation is going to be out there, right? Jones hasn't been as good as Purdy, but in 5 starts filling in, Jones has gone 4-1 and posted a 55.2 QBR. Purdy is better, posting a 68.8 mark over the 2022 to 2024 seasons, but is the difference between the two worth more than $48 million per season? Would Kyle Shanahan and the Niners front office make that same decision again? Maybe, but $48 million would pay the salaries of a bunch of other starters on a team that has had so many other talented players get hurt this season. The defense has managed to keep its head above water despite losing its two best players, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Saleh has done an excellent job coaxing solid or better performances out of the rookies on that side of the ball, with the Collins helping the Niners win against the Rams and punching the ball out of L.A. Running back Kyron Williams' hands at the goal line, saving a touchdown. Huff joined the ranks of the walking wounded by suffering a hamstring injury last week, but the Eagles cast off leads the team with 24 pressures and 10 quick pressures, an excellent return for a player the 49ers are only paying $7.7 million for in 2025. So anyway, I'm curious what you guys think. Do you agree that the 49ers had a top 5 offseason? Like, would you as a fan say the 49ers had a top 5 offseason? I'm curious what you think. Now that it's all said and done, I know there was a lot of frustration during the offseason about how things went and players that were not brought up. And guys like Trey Hendrickson were thrown around during the offseason. Like, that was a possibility. That was a potential. So I'm just curious what you guys think on that one. Let me know what you think in the comments on that one. Let's get to some positives, though. There's lots of positives I want to get to as well. Ricky Pearsall, let's start with him. So Nick Wagner posted today, a couple hours ago, that he did not see Bryce Huff, Jake Brendel, or Yetur Gross-Matos. Quick pause in the video. I want to tell you about a new partner I'm really excited about, and that is Chomps. I don't know if you've had one of these before. I was not a big beef stick fan growing up. My wife bought me some Chomps, and I absolutely love them. 0 grams of sugar, 10 grams of protein, 100 calories, fits perfectly into my diet and what I'm looking for. All grass-fed beef. It's solid and it tastes really good. I really wasn't a beef stick fan growing up, and now I am. I started this summer. I haven't told you guys this, but I started this summer at 205 pounds, really focusing on my diet this summer, trying to turn some things around. I'm down to 191 pounds right now at the end of summer, and these types of snacks are perfect fits for me. I've got a couple flavors here that I love. This is the original beef flavor, and then I have the smoky seasoned barbecue flavor right here. These are delicious, and they're great on-the-go snacks. You can throw them in your gym bag. You can put them in your backpack in your car. You can throw them in your desk at work, and they're fantastic. They're worth every single penny to me. You can find out more about them by clicking the link in my description to order some for yourself. But the big thing for me is it's a snack I don't feel guilty about. I love every second of it, the taste of it. I like the aftertaste of it, and I'm genuinely a diehard fan. I went from having never tried this before to being a diehard immediately, and that's not me just blowing smoke. I genuinely mean that. I'm telling you the truth. You should definitely consider checking out Chomps. Early on in practice, I do believe Bryce Huff was in the weight room, if I'm not mistaken. And then working on the side was Demo, so that's great. We also, I'll get to that in a minute. Ricky Pearsall was working on the side. That's fantastic. And Luke Gifford, okay? Good injury update from John Lynch on KNBR this morning. Demo is just a quad contusion. That's a good news thing, because if it's like more of a quad pull or something like that, it's much, much harder to come back from. So that's a really good sign for Demo's opportunity to play this weekend. And Upton Stout's ankle is doing well. Renato Green was already back at practice Wednesday, so secondary seems to be in a solid spot. And then, of course, Brock Purdy is progressing as the 49ers continue to long game that. We'll talk more about Brock Purdy in a minute. John Lynch said there's evidence of Brandon Aiyuk's progress, if you haven't heard about this, saying that, oh, yeah, there's hope he plays. More importantly than hope, there's some evidence. He's making really good progress. He's been putting in time, and it's coming nearer as to when he's going to be out there on the field. So, again, you would love if he'd tell you, week blank, whatever that week is. Week 10 is the most recent, potential week. But the fact is, if he's using the word evidence to talk about what is happening for Brandon Aiyuk, that's a good sign in the sense that means that they have markers that are out there that he's meeting. So that's good. We'll take that. That's progress. Also spotted today on the side of the 49ers practice field was Curtis Rourke, who is still technically on NFI, by the way. But Curtis Rourke was out there slinging the ball a little bit. So that's a step in the right direction for him, of course, coming back from his injury. That predated him even being drafted. And I think the reason the 49ers were able to draft him where they did, one of the better quarterbacks in the draft, according to many. Whatever the case is, the fact that Curtis Rourke is going to be available is great news for the 49ers, who are still looking at Adrian Martinez. I'm not trying to hate on him, but just no NFL experience either. And so you've got a guy who's kind of more of a potential prospect in Curtis Rourke, and he's on his redshirt season. So that's cool, though, that he's getting better and healthy. The last thing I wanted to throw out there via David Lombardi, a nice little video of Brock Purdy. Look at his footwork and tell me if you're concerned about his toe. Obviously, none of us are here claiming to be experts and doctors, and I'm not trying to act like, oh yeah, look at his footwork, yeah, he looks great, see, he's perfect. But I'm just saying, it's good to see him out there moving around. I don't know why my video isn't longer. It should be like 24 seconds, but oh well. The other part that he did was just more of that. It was more of that. I don't know why I did the first. I guess the first part is the part that I'm missing. But he looks good. It looks good. It's great to have him out there. John Lynch on KMBR talking about Brock Purdy this morning said, "We're taking the appropriate measures. What I can tell you is he's getting better each week, each day. We're getting closer. That has Brock encouraged. That has everybody encouraged," which is fantastic, you guys. We are just a few days away from the 49ers taking on the Houston Texans. And I asked you in the comments at the beginning of this video, what are your keys to the game? I definitely want to be talking about that as the news comes out over the next couple of days. So that's stuff that I'm going to be thinking about throughout. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your guys' comments. I'll be trying to get some of them on the screen, I think on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Get more of your guys' takes in the videos. That's more fun for me to get your guys' takes in the videos, and I'm sure for you guys, it's more fun that your brilliant minds get celebrated in the videos too. So I need to get more doing that. I want to do that more, so I'm probably going to do that Saturday is what I'm thinking. So let me know in the comments, you guys, like, what do you think about the Houston Texans and what the 49ers need to do in order to defeat the Houston Texans? And don't fall into the trap of thinking they're a nobody, because the Atlanta Falcons fell into that trap about the San Francisco 49ers without Fred Warner, and the Atlanta Falcons found out the wrong way. I don't want us to have that mentality either. Let's go in there. Let's take them serious. This is a team that did beat a very banged up Ravens, but they beat the Ravens. They did do that. So you cannot take any game for granted. You got to treat it like an any given Sunday league like it is. And it's going to be an early game on the road. Granted, it's not East Coast, which helps, but it is an early game on the road. And it is, 2 hours difference from San Francisco? I can't remember. It's close to that, whatever it is. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's a game you have to take seriously, and you have to treat it like it's a big game, because you can't take anything for granted in this league. The 49ers go in there and they get a 6 win. That drastically increases their opportunities in winning the NFC West. That drastically increases their opportunities in doing nice things in terms of getting into the playoffs and their seeding, because if you have such a great schedule, you have to take advantage of it. That's the big thing. You have a great schedule, that's cool. Take advantage of it. Do it. Actually get those W's like they've been doing. That's what I'm looking forward to. Appreciate you guys, and hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Thursday night.